A 911 outage over the weekend affected local cell phone callers, and the outage has been a reoccurring issue over the past few weeks. News 8's Mel Meyer joins us now to explain what the outages mean for area residents.
Lisa, Monroe, Trempealeau, La Crosse, and Jackson counties have all been affected one way or another by the outages. Dispatch center officials say they have backup systems in place to ensure they can still respond to emergencies. Saturday's outage in Monroe County affected some cell phone users attempting to call 911.
This last outage was primarily with Verizon and their wireless system, whereas 911 calls from cell phones apparently did not reach some of the dispatch centers in our area.
When an issue arises, they're notified by a cell phone provider or telephone company, depending on the type of outage.
They will send us emails and give us phone calls alerting us to a problem and that they're working on it.
While crews worked to fix the issue, the calls were put through the backup system, so no calls were lost. But the caller's number and location didn't come through as usual.
We did lose that information, but we do ask and verify locations of people when they call to make sure we do have their exact location.
If you could give them a call.
It was the same way the La Crosse County Dispatch Center had to operate earlier this month, when a cut to a telephone network's fiber line limited its capabilities.
In this case, a few of the cellular providers went down. Our landline stayed up, and then a couple of the providers actually were able to get through to us on 911.
Through their own test calls,
La Crosse Police Department, can I help you?
they found U.S. Cellular, Sprint, and Verizon customers were affected.
Turned out that AT&T was able to get through to us. Landlines, we tested landlines immediately, and those were able to get through to us.
But most people make 911 calls on cell phones, so they weren't able to get location or caller information for the majority of the calls.
Only 20% of the capability of getting all the information that we normally would with a 911 call happened on that date.
In a case where landline calls wouldn't be coming through, there is another backup system. Calls in Trempealeau, Jackson, La Crosse, and Monroe counties can be diverted to each other in a way so that way they can still pick up the call volume.
That is good news. Good to know. So how can people prepare for an emergency if these lines go down?
So the officials I talked to said this is the perfect time to remind people to add the non-emergency phone lines to their phones so that way they can still call them. In many cases, sometimes outages do affect those numbers, but again, it's good to have those in place in a time where an immediate emergent response is not needed.
It's such a good idea. I do not have that number
Yes.
in my phone, so that's what I'll be doing. Thank
Good
you,
reminder.
Mel.